Hey everyone, what's up? It's Dr. Charlie Johnson, physical therapist. In today's video, I want to share with you why I think stretching is generally a very bad idea if you're dealing with some type of unresolved back, butt, and/or sciatica problem. Basically, a pain in the butt or back or leg that just you're trying all this stuff and it just won't go away. And I want to help you sort of redirect your focus and your efforts. So I'm going to chat about sort of the loop, if you will, the feedback loop that keeps you stuck in pain, and how stretching can actually reinforce the pain cycle and keep you from healing. For those of you who don't know who I am, again, my name is Dr. Charlie Johnson. I'm a physical therapist. I have a board specialty in orthopedics, and I help teach people how to use the mind and movement as medicine so that you don't need to rely on other people to fix you. You don't need pills, shots, and/or surgery, and you have the best chance of solving these problems naturally. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please feel free to check out my other videos and subscribe to the channel. The primary purpose, also real quick, of this video is not to help you discover if you have piriformis syndrome. There are lots of things that cause a pain in the back, butt, and leg, and oftentimes it can be sort of mysterious. So if you're interested in getting a little bit closer and sort of figuring out what could be going on without needing an MRI or other costly images, things like that, feel free to check out my DIY diagnostic guide where you can download it for free and sort of walk through my brain and my algorithm of how I start to figure this stuff out. All right, so let's dive right into it. Should you stretch? Again, if you have this unresolved back, butt, sciatic problem, piriformis syndrome can often cause a lot of these sensations. So let's chat about it. Quick heads up, I will not be sharing the magic exercise for piriformis syndrome or sciatica in this video. So that might be what you think you need and/or what you want, but it's not what you need. In fact, it will lead you further down a rabbit hole. Trust me, because I consult with people worldwide who have these problems every single day. This is my specialty. And again, that is often what people think that they need, but it often leads them down, further down the sort of pattern of hope and despair. Oh, here's a new exercise. I'll try this thing and then it doesn't work. Here's another exercise. I'll try this thing and it doesn't work. So I'm not trying to lead you on that roller coaster anymore. There are plenty of other videos that, teach you sort of different things that you can try. If that's all you're looking for, I just suggest that you stop this video and go check out the other videos out there. But if you're looking to understand the concepts behind what you're doing, then stick around. So look, just because someone tells you to do something, right, Bob and Brad or somebody else out there, or just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So there's that old saying of like, hey, if someone tells you to jump off a cliff, would you do it, right? Bad idea, but other people are telling you to do it, right? Or if someone tells you to stick your hand on a hot stove, or if all your friends stick their head in the oven, right, do you do it? Not really, right? So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, and/or just because somebody else who you perceive to be an authority figure, usually another PT, massage therapist, friend, chiro, physician, specialist, whoever it is, right, tells you to do something doesn't mean that you should do it. Principles first, understanding the why behind what you're doing is super valuable. Will always get you further than tactics. So tactics is like, hey, what to do, but if you don't understand what you're doing without the understanding of why you're doing it, then you will, again, continue to try things and find that they don't give you results or they just yield temporary relief. So again, instead, I want to help you understand some of the key concepts and help you get to the understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, right? So that you can decide, because it is your body and your choice, right, if it's the right approach for you. And I want you to sort of take some accountability for that. Because again, if you just listen to other people, then sort of like a puppet, right? They're pulling strings. They're telling you to do this or telling you have this or whatever it is. And you're just being manipulated. And, if you get pulled too many different directions, your arms and your legs get ripped off, right? If you're the puppet. So at the end of the day, I want to save you from that pain. And I want to help you kind of get to the bottom of why you should be or should not be doing, or why you would want to consider or would not want to consider this approach. So I choose to discuss the concept of stretching just because so many people with these problems are trying it or doing it. So it makes sense if we're going to talk about this stretching concept to just kind of define loosely what stretching is. So stretching could be redefined as lengthening, which simply means pulling 2 points further apart. So point A, point B, just pulling it apart, right? And if you do a quick search, maybe you've searched for piriformis syndrome stretches or sciatica stretches or something like this, and this is what you're up against. So many different things. A lot of them, though, look very similar, right? But this is what you're going to find whenever you search piriformis syndrome stretches. And stretching has an impact on both the brain and the body. And this is super important to know because Your pain experience is created by the constant communication between your body and your brain, right? And that tells you how much pain you're in, or how much little pain you're in, or how much sort of threat your body is experiencing. And what's interesting is that most people and practitioners, people trying to help you with this problem, only consider what's happening to their body, right, when they do stretches. So their muscles, their joints, their nerves, they go back to a structural reason for their pain all the time. And they're like, hey, it's my IT band that's tight, my piriformis is tight, my hip is out of whack, so my hip flexor is pulling on this, and I need to do this and do that, right? And so they only consider what's happening when they stretch as it relates to their body. But really, people looking for long-term relief are missing the boat, because what most people fail to recognize is that how they move their body and sort of what they experience while doing so is constantly sending signals of either safety or danger to your nervous system, which is your brain. And your brain is like the CEO and ultimately dictates the pain experience that you will have. And pain is just a danger signal. So let me explain. At the end of the day, the thing that really keeps people in pain, no matter what the cause is this. So right now you're stuck in a negative feedback loop involving negative inputs from both the body and the brain. You can see it here. And this is how it starts, right? There's a certain movement or position in your life or thing, right, that hurts within the body. And then it kind of sends signals to your brain of either safety or threat. But in this case, if it hurts, it sends signals of threat. And then you have some fear, concern, worry surrounding that movement or that position or that activity or whatever it is, right? And you become more afraid or fearful of movement, or more frustrated or worried or concerned about motion. And therefore, what do? Your brain says, hey, body, you might not want to do that thing again, right? So you move less. And then increases the fear, the frustration, right? And then you have more pain. And then because you haven't moved in a while, then movement hurts even more. And it just keeps you stuck. So stretching fuels this feedback loop in a few ways, and it looks like this. Let's start on the left side of the screen here, where you stretch, right? So you're stretching to try to solve this problem, right? Stretch, stretch, stretch. If it doesn't work, just keep stretching, and it hurts so good. Which, if you think about that, right? If something hurts so good, it still hurts. So it's still a yucky input to the system, at least if you ask me, right? So you have something that you're doing, it feels yucky with the body, and then it tells the brain in the pink there that movement hurts. It sends a signal and says, hey, when you're doing that, that hurts. And what happens? Your brain starts talking. It says, ooh, I don't know. Should I be doing this? It starts questioning things, becomes fearful of doing those things. It becomes frustrated. You might notice, here's the catch-22, some type of temporary relief though from doing it. This is why it hurts so good, because after doing it, right, and stimulating what we call like the stretch receptors within the system, and kind of giving some, putting some static into the system, it can be somewhat distractive, and you can get a temporary high or relief from it. And that can be confusing, because you're like, well, it kind of hurts, but it kind of feels good. But at the end of the day, the net effect is that it places your system on higher alert. It places your system in a relative state of more danger than safety. And the net take home from the brain is like, hey, that kind of doesn't feel good, a yucky input. And then what do? You stretch more, because number one, you were told to stretch more. So you're obedient, right? That's just human behavior. And it kind of hurts so good. So you latch onto the good part. And then you further tell your brain, given that temporary relief, and patch this in. And then you tell your brain that movement hurts, and you reinforce it as not so good of a thing. You have more fear, frustration, and maybe some temporary relief. You're even more confused, right? You're more confused, so you stretch more because that's what you should be doing. And you can see that this just spirals out of control. You have a negative input that starts from the body. You stretching it tells the brain that motion is not safe, right? Kind of confuses it, makes you question things. Because you're told to do it, you do it more, but it hurts. You become less confident, you get more frustrated, right? Boom, 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 and you get stuck. So essentially you have a yucky input or a yucky motion, a yucky stretch, figure 4, leg raise, nerve flossing, pigeon pose, whatever, insert any kind of stretch, really it feels yucky in here. And then it stimulates or evokes yucky thoughts, feelings, and emotions from the brain, negative reinforcement of that thing. And then again, you do the yucky motion more because that's what you were told to do, more yucky thoughts, feelings, emotions, and it gets you stuck and it spirals out of control. And most people stay stuck in this for months and or years. So stretching often initiates a cascade of negative responses by both the brain and the body, because for folks with piriformis and or sciatica problems, most stretching feels yucky. especially if you're doing it, to the painful area. So trying to heal by using yucky motions is like trying to cook tasty food, yummy food with yucky ingredients. It just doesn't make sense. On the body side of the equation, stretching the painful area further reduces blood supply and oxygen to the region of the hip, butt, and leg. So if you want a technical reason for why stretching is probably not the best idea, then understand that as little as 8% stretch to a nerve reduces blood supply and oxygen to it, while 15.7% stretch or 16% stretch cuts off blood supply completely to the sciatic nerve. So if this is your nerve and or your tissue, let's just say, and this is 0% stretch, and this is 100% stretch, as little as 8% stretch, you can barely see it, 15% stretch can actually reduce and or cut off blood supply to that tissue. No fun. So your muscles, joints, nerves, and other body tissues like blood and oxygen. So as these things are necessary not only for function, but for healing, right? This is how we get nutrients to sort of repair the wear and tear, if you will, on the body. Nerves don't like to be stretched. Moved, yes, but not stretched. Not to mention that stretching reinforces the negative feedback loop. We kind of chatted about that by constantly feeding it with attention. And where your attention goes, your energy flows because you're constantly poking at it. So this is kind of how it looks, just to kind of sum this up. You've been told to stretch, and this is the beginning of the hope despair cycle. You get your hopes up because you're like, oh, this is another thing I could try. I haven't tried this yet, or like looks slightly different. It kind of hurts so good when you do it. So you're getting your hopes up because it hurts, but so good, right? And you get a temporary relief and high. You're at sort of the peak of the roller coaster. Little do you know, here comes the despair part, right? The emotional crash, the symptoms return, but you continue to do as told, right? Human behavior is such that if we're told to do something, we do it. There's some interesting studies on that, but we do it. And then if we don't do it, we self-sabotage because, well, we should do what we're told. And, that's a reason that healthcare providers use as to why you're not getting better, because you're not doing the exercises. So you do things anyway. The mental chatter continues, right? You're thinking, hey, no pain, no gain applies. And this cycle of hope and despair just repeats itself. It traps you. For example, Christina was stuck in this feedback loop. So you can see here, she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2008, had this problem for many, many years, pain in the back and the butt. Trust the process. I am the poster child for trying everything and anything to make my pain improve. She just did things because people told her to do that, right? She didn't understand the why. And then they would say when she's not getting better, well, you're not doing your stuff, right? So then she would beat herself up and, the cycle continued. So that being said, I'm absolutely blown away at how much better I feel in such a short amount of time, just a few weeks into the program. And most of the change has been a dramatic shift in how I think about my condition. So she's not doing much, 1 or 2 motions, that's it. And really shifting her paradigm around how she's approaching her pain problem. She says here, we can't always control our situation, but we can control how we react to it. Thank you many times over to Dr. Charlie for sharing his knowledge, disputing, this is important, the no pain, no gain mantra. And teaching us how to do something radically different. I'm forever grateful to be on this new journey. So disputing the no pain, no gain mantra. If you've been stretching, that's probably something you've been told. It's like, hey, it's going to hurt before it gets better. That's a good way to continue to perpetuate the pain cycle. So if you're watching this video, chances are, just like Christina, you tried many stretches for relief because you were told to do so and they hurt so good. So you're kind of confused about whether you should do it or not. And things just aren't working. Or you're just curious to hear my thoughts. So I'm not saying that stretching never works or hasn't helped anyone. So, I can just imagine all the comments are going to be flooding underneath this video saying like stretching worked for me and like stretching is the only thing that helped. That's fine. But if you consider 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the people who try to stretch their back, butt, or leg are going to continue to aggravate their problem. 20% of those people are going to find relief for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, if you're doing stretches, right, that hurts so good, my experience tells me that stretching something that hurts presents, a greater risk than it does reward. So what do you do instead? Solving Piriformis Syndrome and solving mysterious back, butt, and sciatica problems requires that you follow a systematic process. You can't just try things randomly, random in, random out. And one that breaks the negative feedback loop. You've got to break that cycle. And an easy way to begin doing that is by feeding the system with motions that feel good or yummy. And now look, before you get all upset, again, more comments will flood in and say like, hey, you share a lot of theory, but you don't tell us what to do. There is value, folks, in understanding, more value in understanding the principles than there is what to do. What to do is part of a deeper discussion around sort of self-evaluation and really looking at your story and understanding what the heck is going on. So if you want me to do that, then you can check out the links in the comments for ways to sort of get in touch with me. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand the principles, everybody I've chatted with, or most of the people I chat with, have tried many different things to solve it, at least 2 or more things. And the reason that they continue to try things over and over and over again is because people guide them right to tactics like, well, try this and try this and try that. And it doesn't work because they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. So the truth is that any motion in the body, anywhere in the body, has the potential to help you. And that, what works for someone else might make you much worse. You wouldn't want me to recommend what Christina did, because I guess you could try it, but the chance of you aggravating something is equally as possible, right? So I've worked with clients who respond best to, maybe moving their arms. So one lady in the program, she literally just does some different rows. Another person has to twist their trunk. Another person has to move their non-painful good leg in certain directions to find relief, right? So just know that the whole body is connected. And if you're looking just in the area of pain, you're probably significantly reducing your chances of solving this problem. So this might seem strange, but if you consider that motion is simply a means into a sensitive nervous system, and you understand that pain is an experience of both the brain and the body, and then all you're trying to do is break the negative feedback loop and calm things down. That's it. Motion is just a way for you to start moving. And when you start moving in a way that feels good, then you start to tell your brain like, hey, that wasn't so bad. We call that a corrective experience, an experience that feels safe for once versus you going to PT and doing all kinds of stuff that hurts, right? And so all we're trying to do is break that negative feedback loop, saying something's really revved up here. My body is perceiving itself to be in a sort of state of danger or on high alert. How can I calm this thing down? That's it. So if you consider that motion is just a way to start to do that, then you start to understand, right, why potentially moving any body part could help you. It gets the gears turning, and it gets the gears turning in a way that feels good. So trying random stretches in hopes of finding one that works is okay and understandable because you're in pain and you're, trying everything to solve it. But it often leads to frustration and burnout because it results in you jumping all over the place and trying many things. Confusion. Give me heat, then I'll give you wood. This is a quote that I really like. And here's what I mean by it. So rather than searching for shortcuts to pain relief, the exercise as the answer to your pain. Maybe you came to this video looking for that and you're probably gone. You've probably bounced by now if that's what you're really looking for. But if you hung around, then I appreciate that. Focus all your effort instead on the pain relief process and let pain relief follow. So don't focus on pain relief, focus on a pain relief process. So the quality of your questions will determine the probability of your success. So instead of asking, what do I need to do to get better? Charlie, what exercise do I do? Ask, what do I need to know and who do I need to become to get better? Deep stuff, right? Because you're the one in pain, you must put in the effort to understand what you need to do to get out of it. Nobody's going to do that for you. I can help you, or I can give you the tools, knowledge, and understanding to do that, but you have to run the tests. You have to go through the process and run your own race. So quick fixes never last. So at the end of the day, it's like, are you looking for a quick fix or a long-term solution to this problem? Do you want to rely on someone else to fix you? Or would you like to learn how to fix yourself? There's no right or wrong here. If you're looking for a quick fix to get you by until you go on vacation or, you're okay doing that, great. If you're totally cool with just going to someone and having them sort of fix you and you're not interested in learning what you can do to solve it, that's fine, right? But just realize that start by asking yourself these questions, because if you are looking for a long-term solution and if you would like to learn and you're willing to put in the time and the effort, to fix yourself, then there's a process. This is what I call the 4-step pain relief process. If you haven't already checked out my free workshop, you can do that. There's probably a link above and or below in the comments where I walk you through the exact pain relief process that people like Christina and other folks that you've seen on my channel are using to solve this pain, even if it's been there for 20, 30 years, right? Or 6 months, it doesn't matter. The process is the same, folks. So you want to optimize the environment. I talk more in depth here because you cannot exercise a bad diet. I teach you about self-assessment, and I also teach you, how to use the mind and movement as medicine in a systematic way. So you're not just guessing, but you're testing and you understand why you're doing what you're doing. And then obviously what's most important, people, is that you get back to the life that you love. So that's all I got. Again, this is Dr. Charlie. Hopefully you found this useful, a little bit of a deep conversation here, but I'm really about helping people understand the principles and the concepts and the reasons why behind what they're doing so that they're not just randomly doing stuff. Again, there's plenty of other stuff out there. If you found this useful, let me know what you thought. Okay, good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. I'm totally cool with being wrong, right? And or somebody calling me out on something. Love that. That's the only way we learn, right? So comment below, let me know your thoughts on this video, what you got from it, right? What you're going to do differently as a result. And I would love to see if I can help you out. Thanks so much, everyone. Until next time, we will chat soon.